Hey there guys, this is Pharaoh2091 and welcome back to Let's Play Phoenix Wright Ace Attorney Dual Destinies. What can I even say about the last episode? I think everybody's innocent. It has to be, and just we're about to announce Athena's innocence, Apollo stopped the damn trial! Apollo of all people! I just started right from a continue point, and the game picks up right here, so something's going on. Mr. Justice, please explain yourself. It's very simple. There isn't much to explain. The defendant, Miss Athena Sykes, might not be innocent. Oh! What are you talking about? The case from 7 years ago has been settled! I'm not talking about the past here. I'm talking about the present case. I'm still not clear who killed Clay Tarrant. But, Apollo, why would you? Miss Sykes, please listen quietly to what I have to say. What in the world is Apollo trying to do? Please, there has to be like some type of ulterior motive of what he's doing here. He can't just be a douchebag right now for the hell of it. Your Honor, please allow me a little of the court's time. But this is a trial for the case from 7 years ago. Ms. Blackwell, I'd like to ask a favor of you. Just as you lost someone close to you, I lost someone close to me, too. I'm sure you want to know the real truth of what happened as much as I do. Apollo. Sure, you know I'm all for the truth. Now, let's see you expose the princess's guilt. Judge, I give my permission. Continue with the trial. Very well. Is that alright with you, Prosecutor Edgeworth? I don't think we have a choice. Prosecution has no objections. Let's hear Mr. Justice's testimony. I'll have the police's investigation report brought immediately. Not you too, Edgeworth. I really hope it's because you have something up your sleeve. Very well. Your opening statement, please, Prosecutor Edgeworth. As you wish. Let's review the case of the murder of Mr. Clay Tarrant. It was made clear in a previous trial that Solomon Starbuck was not his killer. Therefore, the true culprit was someone else. On that day, the culprit waited for the astronauts in Boarding Lounge 1. When the two men made their escape out of the Space Museum, the killer attacked Mr. Tarrant with the same type of knife that was used 7 years ago. The murderer then escaped into the Space Museum. Next, Director Yuri Cosmos switched the launch pads. After that, the culprit exited the Space Museum and escaped via Boarding Lounge 2. Therefore, this trial must make clear who Mr. Tarrant's true killer was. In other words, we must discover who it was that escaped through the Space Museum that day. Thank you, Prosecutor Edgeworth. Mr. Wright, is the defense ready? Yes, Your Honor. I better rearrange my evidence. Relevant evidence swapped in to the court record. Swapped in? Okay, we'll just take a look at it. Oh, Mr. Justice, yeah, let's see what he has to say. Apollo Justice's accusation. I suspected Miss Sykes of the murder of Clay Tarrant. My growing suspicions were confirmed when this incriminating evidence presented itself. In addition, she's the only one who could have utilized the launchpad switch to escape. That is why I wish to indict Miss Sykes in charge of murder. You know, Apollo, I know you're hurting, buddy, but I will hurt you myself right now, if I could. Order! Order in the court! Mr. Justice, you realize you are charging your own co-worker of murder, don't you? Yes, Your Honor, and because that is the conclusion my investigation has led me to. But Apollo, why? How could you suspect me too? Mr. Wright, your cross-examination, please. I don't get it. Just what did you find out over the past few days make you think this? Yeah, okay, I can already tell I have nothing to present evidence on. I don't see anything contradictory, besides him being an idiot right now, but I feel like I'm just going to go ahead and press on everything here, because everything just seems weird. I need more information. What first made you suspicious of Miss Sykes? It all started when Miss Sykes and I were investigating the crime scene. When she saw the weapon that killed Mr. Tarrant, my bracelet reacted. She said she'd never seen that knife before, but my bracelet told me otherwise. And then, every time after that, my bracelet would react when she talked about the case. Poor Paul must have been beside himself during the investigation. I didn't know what to do or think. I couldn't even sleep. In that condition, I knew I wouldn't be good in court. So I decided to wear an eye patch, so I wouldn't be able to perceive any of her tells. Oh, okay. I thought he was hurt before. Okay. So that's why Paul was acting so strangely. But the reason Miss Sykes unconsciously reacted to the knife was, that way is because she stabbed her mother's murderer with one identical to it 7 years ago. Objection! But that knife was also the murder weapon that was used to kill Clay Tarrant. My bracelet couldn't have also reacted to her because she knew she was a killer too. Ugh. I guess he has a point. But my bracelet wasn't the only reason I became suspicious of her. And I was talking about the lighter as well. My growing suspicions were confirmed when the incriminating evidence presented itself. Let's press on this as well. That's the lighter that was found in the Space Museum with her fingerprints on it, right? But even if it seems decisive, there must be other facts we don't know about it just yet. If that's so, then go ahead and prove it then. Look, honestly, I don't want to believe it's true either, but Miss Sykes was the only one who was in the Space Museum at the time of the murder. But, Mr. Justice, Miss Sykes had absolutely no motive to kill Mr. Tarrant. Objection! 7 years ago, Miss Sykes lived at the Cosmos Space Center. It wouldn't be strange if she had some kind of connection to him. Besides, people sometimes kill for motives we can't even imagine. I know you've seen plenty of cases like that in your own career, Mr. Wright. I still can't believe this. How can you actually suspect Athena, Apollo? Like, just slowly. It's just continually. I'm hating him more and more. Like, how is she the only one to be able to utilize it? Isn't it possible that somebody else used that same escape route? I'm afraid not, Mr. Wright. And why not? Recall there's a security camera in boarding lounge 1 aimed at the launch pad door. It's the camera that captured Mr. Tarrant and Mr. Starbuck. But there's also another security camera on boarding lounge 2. It recorded Mr. Tarrant's killer, or rather Miss Sykes, coming out of the Space Museum. The camera on boarding lounge 2. At first I heard of it, but it makes sense. Athena said she snuck into the Space Museum the night before the incident. And then was overcome and passed out until noon the next day. Out until noon the next day. Didn't even know about it, about the explosions. Huh. Okay. That must have been what the camera captured then. And that's what made Apollo suspect her even more. But wait a minute. In that case, it must likely recorded a true culprit as well. Objection! That's a negative on that one too, Mr. Wright. In the footage taken after the incident, Miss Sykes is the only one who appears. What? Why? Oh, crap. Order! Order in the court! That can't be. But if it is, then it's incredibly incriminating. Wasn't it you who proved in the previous trial the way the culprit escaped? Was via the Space Museum after her pads had been switched? In fact, you previously proved to turn on its ear, leaving your client high and dry. I must say, that is vintage Phoenix Wright. Ugh! Shut up, Edgeworth. That's why I wish to indict Miss Sykes. No, shut up. Why? Why? Believing in your client to the end is a basic principle of good defense. Shouldn't you extend that same principle to your own coworker? You're probably right. Maybe I'm not even fit to be a lawyer. However, I don't care. This case is special to me. I know it is, man, but It can't be Athena! Clay was my friend, and that's why I just have to know the truth. Paul suspected his trusted co-worker of killing his friend. To dispel his doubts, he investigated on his own, but that only led to more doubts. Apollo must have been really struggling with this. Well, Apollo may have doubts, but... I'll say it again. Athena Sykes isn't the murderer. And I have only one thing to say. Evidence is everything in court. Well, Mr. Wright, think you have the concrete proof to knock down my arguments? Your arguments have been very clear, Mr. Justice, and your facts appear to be indisputable. Well, Mr. Wright, what do you think of my theory? It looks like not even you can deny it. Miss Sykes was the only one who used the only possible escape route. Under these circumstances, there can be no other suspect but the defendant. Unless... you think there was an alternative escape route. Is that what you think, Mr. Wright? Is that what you think, Mr. Wright? Is that what I think, Phoenix? Was there an alternate or escape route? The only way it's gonna work, I think, if I say yes. Right? Because if I say no way, then we're screwed. I just hope I don't bluff too bad. Yes, of course there must have been. Just don't ask me what. You're just bluffing again, aren't you? Me? Bluff? No way! He knows me too well. It's fine, Mr. Wright. Even a bluff would suit me just fine. As long as you can... clear up this doubt inside me! What? Wait! So is that what this is all about? I want to believe in Athena. I really do! But what is faith without doubt? That's why I need to question her guilt. So that once the truth finally comes out, I can really fully trust her. So that you can really trust me? It seems your junior partner has just showed us what trials are truly all about. I believe you're right. We prosecutors painstakingly question every detail in pursuit of the defendant, while we lawyers believe in and defend our clients to the end. When both sides go all out against each other, then we discover the truth. Precisely. When the battle is over, we will understand the true meaning of trust. That's exactly what trials are about. Wouldn't you agree? Yes. I couldn't ignore the seed of doubt that was growing inside me. So I decided I needed to face it head on. No matter what the truth is that's waiting ahead, I won't be afraid. Okay, I knew there must have been some type of ulterior thing behind it. Just... okay, you're okay, I think now, Apollo, maybe. That's so like Apollo, always uber earnest about things like this. Mr. Justice, I vow to dispel every last bit of doubt in your heart. Good, because I want to believe in Miss Sykes again. You're really hoping there wasn't this alternate route, aren't you, Apollo? But if I use a process of elimination, there really aren't that many possibilities. Dr. Cosmos is at the southern exit, leaving only the control room and a corridor to the Space Museum. Which door could the culprit have escaped through? Come on, Mr. Wright, where do you think the culprit escaped to? Wait a minute. So... Cosmos is right here. So the only thing left is the control room and the Space Museum corridor. However, how you can't get into the control room unless you're at Cosmos, so the only thing left is a corridor?
Take that!
Doesn't seem right. They really could have only escaped to the corridor into the Space Museum. All they had to do was use unconscious Mr. Starbucks Prince to get through the door.
Objection!
It appears that all you're trying to establish is Miss Sykes' guilt. If the culprit used that route, the only exit would have been the boarding lounge too. The logical conclusion of your argument is that the killer is no other than the defendant. Ugh! I knew it! That's the only way it could be, huh? If the culprit escaped into the corridor, at least to the Space Museum, then I guess it's true. The only exit would have been into boarding lounge 2. But Miss Sykes was the only person captured by the boarding lounge 2 security camera. I investigated the crime scene thoroughly. But the only place the culprit could have escaped to was the Space Museum corridor. There weren't any other secret corridors or anything. So that leaves us with no other conclusion to draw but that Athena Sykes was the culprit. What could the answer be? Was there really no other escape route? But, wait, hold on a second. What if... What? Where did those mysterious leaves we saw in the corridor come from? Oh yeah! What if they're a clue to the culprit's real escape route? I think it is possible that the culprit escaped the Space Museum. But then came out using a route other than until boarding lounge 2. Oh? Launchpad 1 and the Space Museum were switched after the bombing, meaning the Space Museum corridor was moving along the rail at the time, which is exactly when an alternative escape route opened up for our culprit. Are you kidding me? Judging by the intense look in your eyes, I take it you're serious. Very well then, Mr. Wright. Do tell. Where could the culprit have gone from the museum corridor besides boarding lounge 2? Like, is he saying, like, if it detached, it would be, like, here, right? Because, yeah, we're, like, already switched, so we're assuming he's still in here. But, like, this? He jumped out?
Take that!
We found something odd while investigating the museum corridor this afternoon. Namely, a few dead leaves on the floor. Considering where dead leaves come from, they point us to exactly where the culprit escaped to. Yes, I remember seeing some leaves myself. Ah! Do you mean... Yep, while the Space Museum was in motion just beyond the corridor's safety door... Yep. Was an alternative place that the culprit could escape. In other words, the culprit's real escape route was... the area outside the Space Center! You're freaking insane! Well, I love those scenes in the game where they completely trust sentences. Do you know how impossible that would be? That corridor is level with the 3rd floor. Even if the culprit tried to leap to the outside wall of the Space Center building, they would fall to their death.
Objection!
Ordinarily, yes. But after the bombing incident, the culprit could make use of a certain item. And what item was it exactly, Mr. Wright? Alright, this is what the culprit used to leap to the outside wall of the main building. This is what the culprit used to leap to the outside wall of the main building. Here, I'm gonna need help here. Oh yeah, I forgot he like put in some other stuff. Oh! There we go, a ladder!
Take that!
An emergency ladder. There was an emergency ladder in the 4th floor robotics lab. and it was used that day after explosions to help evacuate people. Miss Blackwell herself used that ladder to escape down on ground level. Recall that the launch pads were switched after the ladder was lowered. The corridor would have passed by the ladder while the pads were being switched, and that's when a culprit literally sprang into action. Holy crap, this guy's insane. And leapt onto the ladder. What? Who would have imagined? Holy, this person's good. Order! Order in the court! Well, alternative escape route seems to have emerged. Which means someone other than Miss Sykes could have been the culprit, right?
Objection!
Making things up on the fly is an attempt to sway the court again, are we, Mr. Wright? Your theory has so many holes that puts Swiss cheese to shame. Alright then, name one. I have here detailed information about the Space Center. According to this, the distance between a museum corridor and the main building during movement is a full 20 feet. 20 feet? You're pulling my leg, right? In addition, the corridor is 3 floors from the ground, or roughly 50 feet. What's more, the culprit would be leaping to a precarious place. An unstable ladder. Ugh! Human beings feel fear in dangerous situations. It's a basic survival instinct. An ordinary person would certainly hesitate before jumping. Or even freeze in fear and not jump at all.
Objection!
But the culprit has just murdered somebody. They weren't in any ordinary state of mind.
Objection!
Nevertheless, why would they have taken that kind of risk? They could have waited for a switch to be completed and escaped the boarding lounge too.
Objection!
Because there was a security camera in the boarding lounge too. The culprit knew they would be recorded if they left the Space Museum that way.
Objection!
In that case, the culprit could have hidden in the museum until things settled down, and then blended in with the other people after the museum was opened. Well, that's a good point. Would you claim that despite all this, the culprit took a 20-foot death-defying leap, and all in the brief moment the corridor and ladder passed by each other? Well, that's also a good point. They would have needed a running start while the corridor was moving to make that jump. If their timing was off, or if they couldn't jump far enough, it would have been instant death. What kind of person would attempt something like that? Stop bringing up good points, Edgeworth! This true culprit of yours is nothing but a figment of your imagination. Why do you always have to point every flaw? Because that's what I do. Mr. Edgeworth's right. That does sound pretty insane. The culprit would have to be someone who feels no fear, like a stuntman. But everyone feels fear on some level. Right? No! We just talked about this. Wait a minute. Aha! I've got it this time. I can prove that there is someone who could have used that alternative escape route. Oh, can you now? This proves the possibility of a person who could have used this alternative escape route. And guys, remember, we just talked about somebody who has, like, no emotion. Look at the Phantom Psych profile. The emotions rarely fluctuate, and he doesn't experience feelings like normal people do. He possibly couldn't have experienced any fear.
Take that!
What's that, Mr. Wright? This is a certain person's very interesting psych profile. The subject doesn't experience feelings like normal people do. In other words, this person doesn't feel happiness, sadness, or fear. Doesn't feel fear? What? Right! You can't be serious! Without the constraint of fear, constraint, whatever, he could easily do what an ordinary person wouldn't dare. Just as you or I could do a broad jump on the ground without the slightest fear, This subject could make a 20-foot leap 50 feet up in the air. He could choose this extreme way of escaping without hesitation. So you're saying to the person without fear, the alternative route would be a quicker and a limited chance that they'd be spotted. That's definitely pretty extreme, Mr. Wright. But was there such a person there at the scene? Yes. The Phantom, that mysterious shadowy figure who keeps popping up. Oh dear. The Phantom. Again? I knew the Phantom was there behind the scenes of the Space Center bombing, but I wasn't sure if he was connected to the murder of Clay Terran as well. However, now it's all clear. The Phantom is the one who not only bombed the Space Center, but also killed Mr. Terran. What? What? But I'm still a little iffy on who the hell it could be. I mean, I don't know. Order in a court. Order, I said. Mr. Wright, please continue. There were just 2 minute similarities between this case and the one from 7 years ago. But why, you may ask? It can only be because both incidents were the work of the same Phantom. So then, this Phantom is the one who killed Clay? But who is he? This Phantom has been haunting this case, pulling the strings in the background. Okay. Who could this unidentified international spy be? Right. This escape route must have been part of the Phantom's plan from the start. As was tricking Dr. Cosmos into switching the launch pads. The bomb on the second floor was meant to make the elevators and stairs unusable. That's why he gave an advance warning and planted the bomb where he did. Yes, I think you're right. But it doesn't explain this one last thing. So I lowered my emergency ladder like the detective leading the evacuation told me. But it was such a pain. Why couldn't they use the ladders in the other rooms? The robotics lab wasn't the only room with an emergency ladder. But he couldn't have made that leap unless he was certain which one it would be. So you mean the Phantom must be someone who knew that particular ladder was going to... You've got to be kidding me. No, hold on. This gotta be used? I'm sorry, guys. I had a thought. That's right. Who could it be? Wait a minute. So I lowered my emergency ladder like the detective leading the evacuation told me to. Miss Blackwell lowered a ladder after being told to by the detective leading the... Oh! Mother... Are you kidding me? You've got to be kidding me! Did you figure it out, right? Do you know who the Phantom is? Yes, I do! Who is it? Who killed Clay? Our mystery spy, known as a Phantom, is none other than... Mother... We'll find out in the next episode, guys. I mean, you know who it is, but oh... Oh my god. As usual, thank you all for watching, and I'll see you guys next time for Let's Play Phoenix Wright Ace Attorney. Dual Destinies. I'll see you guys later.